welcome back to my channel once again. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, I really appreciate. So in today's tutorial we're going to be making a milkmaid dress with front slit and queen and neckline. So as it is my custom, I've gone ahead to get my paper ready. I have my shoulder line, chest line, bust point, underbust and waist, and also my allowance. So I went ahead to slope my shoulder with 1 inch. Then I get my armhole measurement. I'm using my shoulder divided by 2 for my armhole and for my shoulder as well. My center neckline, I use 3 by 3, and I went ahead to get my chest circumference, that's my bust circumference as well, divided by 4, and I mark it. Then after sloping my shoulder, I divided the remaining part of my shoulder by 2, get the midpoint and come in by 0.5 inches and mark. Okay, so if you're accustomed to my tutorials, you will know this is what I regularly do, so I don't think you should get confused. So the next thing is to get my bust pan, and I'm using my bust nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Okay, and I'm gonna have to measure it and draw it into a straight line. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is to get our dart. Okay, our waist dart. I'm using 0.75 for my waist dart, so I'm going to measure it on both line of my bust pan. All right, so I'll go ahead and connect it. After that, I'll connect it to my bust point, and the next thing we are going to be doing is to divide our shoulder measurement by 2 and connect it to our bust point. So here I'm trying to connect our waist dart to our bust point. Okay, so I also determine where I want my neckline to be. If you want your cleavage to be revealed, you can go up from your chest line by half an inch. Okay, but mine, I'm going up from my chest line by 1 inch. Okay, but if you want your chest fully covered, go up from your chest line by 1.5 inches or 2. Okay, but mine is not going to be revealing and it's not going to be too covered. It's just going to be on the okay, right, it's just going to have that right look. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect the remaining part of my shoulder divided by 2. I'll connect the line to my bust point as I've mentioned earlier. So the next thing that I'll be doing is to determine the difference between my half length of my front line half length and my back half length, and I'll be using 1 inch in this case, and that is what I've just ruled here. So I measure that 1 inch at that my bust point, to below my bust point is where I measure that 1 inch. Okay, so I went ahead to shade it because we're going to cut it out, and I also shaded my waist dart. So the next is to get our bust bridge, and I'm using 0.5 inches away from the chest line. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect it to the under bust line. This is how we normally collect our corset cup. So if you are used to making corsets, you won't find this difficult at all. Okay, so you see that line that we connected here, I'm going to notch that line. Okay, go ahead and notch that line so that you also always remember that that is where your bust bridge line is. So next, I'm going to take all my round body measurement, my bust circumference divided by 4, my under bust circumference divided by 4, my waist circumference divided by 4. I'm going to mark them and replace all my darts, and after that I'm going to go ahead and connect the lines together. So I was not connecting. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slash in through my waist dart, and that is to enable me close my side dart. Okay, I'm going to close my side dart after slashing through my waist dart, and I'm going to tape it down. So this is me trying to close my side dart. Okay, so I'm gonna have to close it, and I'll use my tape to tape it down so that that place is stable. Okay, so that is just what I did here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to determine where I want my cup to start. So I'll come in from my line, okay, by 1.5 inches. Okay, I'll come in by that side line by 1.5 inches inside the allowance for my side cup. Okay, and I'll connect it to my under bust line. Okay, so just watch, you understand what I'm trying to explain. So I was trying to get a perfect shape for a cup, and that's why I somehow drew two lines there, but it doesn't matter. So I'll stand that line up. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is to get our Queen Anne neckline. Okay, so I'm going to come in from that line I just drew. I will come in by 1.5 inches. Okay, so if you want yours wider, you can come in by 2 inches or 1.25 or 1 inch as well, just the way you like it. Go ahead and do that. So I'll connect it to our neckline, and that is our Queen Anne neckline ready. Okay, so that is all, and I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. But before I do that, I'm going to blend in this line for my after closing my side darts. Okay, note that we're not going to cut out the dart that is on our cup. Okay, we're not going to cut out that dart. Okay, so we're going to leave that dart that way, and I want to sew my dart, so I'm not going to cut it out as well. So I'll grab my scissors and cut it out. After I was done doing that, I went ahead to bring in my pattern for the back, and as I did for the front, I roll on my lines. I started to measure my shoulder slope of 1 inch, slope it down, and I'm using 3 inches by 2 inches for my neck. Okay, for my neck for the back. So I'll go ahead and get my bust point divided by my bust circumference divided by 4, mark it, then measure the remaining part of my armhole line, divide into 2 and connect it to my bust circumference divided by 4 line. Okay, so the next thing is to get our allowance for the back, our dart for the back, sorry, and I'm using the same bust span divided by 2. I'll roll it up to my chest line into a straight line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is that I will come down to take my waist measurement. Okay, so I'll be using 0.75 just as I use for the front as well. So I'm going to mark that 0.75 on both sides of my line. I'll connect them up to the chest line. So having done that, the next thing that we're going to do is to go up by 1 inch from our chest line, go up by 1 inch. Okay, that is where I want my back neckline to stop. So I'll go ahead and roll it into a straight line just as I did for the front. So having done that, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is to get our round body measurements. Okay, our round bust divided by 4, round under bust divided by 4, and round waist divided by 4. Okay, sorry, we won't be making use of under bust measurements here. We are only making use of chest, bust point, and waist. So I'm going to divide those area by 4 and replace all my darts accordingly, and I'm going to connect them into a straight line. So when I'm done doing that, I am going to come in from that point by 2 inches and connect to my neckline for the Queen Anne neckline for our back. All right, so after doing that, I will go ahead to eliminate zipper bulge for my back, and I'll do that by going in from the folded part of my zipper allowance by 1 inch. I'll connect it up to my chest line. Okay, then I'm going to replace that 1 inch on the side. Okay, the side of my waist. I'm going to measure that 1 inch and replace it. So it's very important to eliminate zipper bulge for your back side. All right, so after that, I decided to extend this the wideness of my back. I don't want it to be too wide or too revealing, so from this line I came in by 1 inch, and I'm going to connect it back to my neckline. And with that, our back will be ready, and I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, I'm going to bring in our fabric, and I will get the skirt part of this dress. So as you can see, my back, I was done cutting it out, and everything is looking okay. So before we get the skirt part of our dress, we are going to work on our cup. All right, so you can see my cup after cutting it out. I didn't remove my dart, just as I had earlier mentioned. So I'm going to sew my dart on my fabric for our cup sitter. Okay, the place where our cup will sit. As for our cup, we are not going to remove any dart. Okay, we are not going to sew any dart. So I'm going to set the other side up aside, and I'm going to work on our cup. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my cup into 4. Okay, and I will number them. After that, I'm going to slash the in through. Okay, and I'll bring in another pattern to spread our cup. So we're actually going to be making use of slash and spread method, because if you look at the style of the dress we're making, you will observe that it has gathers on the cup area. So it is that gathers we are trying to achieve right here. So go ahead and divide your cup into 4, number them accordingly, then bring in a fresh paper and spread it on it accordingly. All right. So here I have a fresh paper. Okay, and this is where I'm going to be spreading my cup on. All right, to get our spread. Okay, so you can spread with 2 inches, 2.5, 2.25, 2.75, whatever you desire. It all depends on how much gathers you want to have on your cup. So mine, I'll be slashing with 0.25, 2.25, sorry, 2.25. That is what I'll be slashing with. Okay, so um I later made a line, okay, on this my paper. I marked a line at the upper parts to guide me to be able to place this paper that I'll be spreading on that line, so that all of them will be on a straight line. All right, so at that upper part I marked that place I'm showing right now. I marked a really straight line, and that is where I place all my cup. So the next thing, I'm going to cut it out, and when I'm be cutting out on my fabric, I'm going to be adding 0.5 inch round for my joining allowance. Okay, so here I have my main fabric, and we're going to use it to cut our skirt parts. So this main fabric, I'm going to like to fold it into a bias form. All right, so it's in a bias form, as you can see. I'm going to determine where I'm going to mark my waist measurement. So go ahead and measure your waist circumference, divide it into 2, because this is folded into 2. And if you look at that front side, you see that I've left about 3 inches for my zipper allowance. So that will be my center back, okay, and be my center front. So at the top, I'm going to come down by 19 inches, and I'm going to make it all round. Okay, So after marking it all around, I'm going to subtract my half length from that point I'm marking for my waist. Okay, I'm going to subtract my half length from there, and I'll get the remaining part of our length for our dress. All right, so when I subtract my length, I'll be measuring 48 inches. That is 47 plus 1 inches for my allowance. In total we'll have 48, and that will be what I'll be using for my skirt length. So please pay attention as I do it so that you will follow along. So I want to subtract my half length, and I'll be getting my 48 inches I mentioned earlier. So I go ahead and get the remaining part of your measurement after you subtract your half length. So I'm going to rule it all around the hem of fabric. So I hope that you're seeing what I'm marking, because I'm actually using a yellow chalk on a white fabric. I was actually thinking it would be very visible, but please pardon me in case if you cannot see what I'm marking carefully. I believe from my explanation you know what to do. So I was done cutting, and as you can see, I'm going to go ahead to notch our center front. Then from that notched part, that is folded part, which is going to be our center front, I'm going to measure in my bust span by 2. Okay, so I'm trying to determine where I'll be putting my dart, my slit, sorry, the front slit. So I'm going to be marking that on the right hand side of my dress. I'll mark my bust span divided by 2, and I'll add 3 inches to it when I'm marking the center. Okay, so let me quickly explain what I mean. So if your bust span divided by 2 is 4 inches, okay, so your means your bust span is 8 divided by 2 is 4 inches. Go ahead from that folded part, mark 4 inches the upper part. The middle part, add 3 inches to that 4 inches, that is 7. Mark 7 inches from the folded part to the point. Then on the hem, you add another 3 inches to that 7 inches, that 9 inches, you mark it at the hem side. Okay, so have it in a slanty form. All right, because this is folded in a bias form, so your slit should also the slit line should be slanted form so that it will flow along the way the fabric is folded. Okay, note that I folded this fabric here into 2, but when you are slitting, you are only slitting one side, which is left side. Please have that in mind. So go ahead and mark where you want your slits to stop. Okay, because that is what I am going to do. So I'm gonna add to mark it. As you can see, it's looking very fine, and just as I said earlier, we are marking it on only one, which is the left side though. Please. So I'll set it aside, and we'll continue on our half length side. Okay, so I went ahead to them on my main fabric and added all my allowance. All right, so go ahead and add your allowances. On top, I have added allowances of 0.3 as the upper part. So you see the part where our bridge is, I went ahead to notch it. It is very important on your paper and on your fabric. So the queen eye neckline, I went ahead to cut it out of the other part of the length, okay, so that our cup will be able to sit properly before we now attach it back. All right, so I also had to add my allowances, and I did the same thing for my back part as well. I cut my part of my main fabric, and I went ahead to add my allowances appropriately. So do that yours, please, don't forget. So I had and also cut on my lining piece, and after doing that, we are going to start joining all the parts. So I'm gonna sew my darts on the half length of the front part, as you can see. The next thing is that I'm going to bring in our cup, the front of our cup, and I'm going to place my fabric with my lining front facing front, and we're going to sew the part bust breach up, okay. From that bust breach notch, we're going to just join that part, okay. So where my hand is showing, we join it, okay. So we're going ahead to join, and I notched and top stitch. We'll do on the both cup, and after that, what I'm going to do is to on top of the main fabric, just join the main lining. We are not turning this part, we are just joining it, okay. All right, so please, on this straight part with the neck part, go ahead and notch the end of it, so that by the time you gather your cup, you need to make mistakes. So we'll join our cup and run a stitch on it, because we're going to gather it. Because here I'm going ahead to join my main fabric of the cup with the line fabric, and I'm going to pull on one thread on my gathers, okay. But before I do that, I have to measure what we have on our cup seat. I'm going to measure it round, okay. So do that for yours as well, so that you know how much to gather your cup. All right, so after that, I'll go ahead and gather all my coat cup, and I'm going to show you what we have when I'm gathering. So this is the part where I ask that we know, it's very important that we mark, sorry, so that we'll be able to remember which part goes for the street when we are gathering. So I have finished gathering all the cup, and as you can see, it's like our regular corset cup. So the thing I am going to do is to join on this center front. Remember to 0.5 inches on the center front where we are going to join your cup, so as to have allowance where you will turn it with your lining piece. Is very important. It's exactly what I am going to do here. So you have to leave allowance where you join. So I'll start my joining from 0.5 away from that center front. So I'll join my cup, and I'll bring it back to show you what we have, and I'm also going to close it with lining piece, okay. So I went ahead to my cup, and I'm going to turn inside out, so that we'll be able to see how I join the inside. So you see the inside, okay. See how I turn it. I believe you can, but if you cannot see it properly, pardon me. And just the way your regular corset cup with your lining, how I did it here. All right, so there is no much different here, no different at all. It's just how your cup area with your lining piece, exactly how you're going to do it in this case. Oh, okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to side with my lining piece. I'll turn it with my lining, and after I'm going to bring it back to show what we have. turned both sides with our lining piece. Okay, so the next I'm going to is to bring my Queen Anne neckline, that smaller part that we cut our neckline. I'll bring it back, then we'll join it. So I'm going to turn it with my lining. Okay, so the side that's forming our neck, the side where our neck will be, I went ahead to turn my lining piece and also side out and sew close on. Okay, so we're going to be attaching it to our cup. Okay, just exactly where we cut it out from. See this way I'm pinning it down. I'll do that to the other. Go ahead to my machine and sew it. So it's done attaching it, and you can see our dress is taking shape. It's looking very fine. I love what I have here. I love the look already. So what I'm going to do is to measure what I have on my chest line. It is very important. Okay, so you get it to fit into your chest line. Please go ahead. So I'm going to bring in rib that I've cut out. So I've cut out it, and we are going to use it to pipe our neckline, serve and rope. All right, so I have strip that I cut out. The length is 6.5 inches. Okay, and the wideness is about 2.5 inches. Okay, so this is what we are going to be using to form our rope and also pipe our line. All right, so I'm showing us how we're going to use it to pipe our neck. Please, my dear, pay attention to what we're going to be doing, especially if you're not conversant with this method. So I'm going to be placing it front facing front. Okay, the front rope facing the front part of the fabric, and I'm going to pin it down. Okay, so this exactly the way I'm placing it is exactly how we're going to do it. So after that, we'll sew it. The sewing is to join the rope with our, then we'll flip it to the other side, fold 0.5 inches and re-sew again. So I'm actually going to do that on one side and show us what it looked like. So I've went ahead to sew one part, and I am actually trying to explain to us how we sew it. If anyone is unfamiliar with it, I'm trying to explain how we are going to. So you fold in 0.5 inch, then you refold. All right, in addition to what I'm doing, I really don't think it's going to be like it's going to be hard, not at all. So on the end of the edge, you fold in 0.5 inches, then on the side, both sides, 0.5 inches, 0.5, then refold. So it's not really difficult to do. So I was done sewing. This is how it look, very fine. Yeah, I love the look already. I'm loving the outcome already. Like it's so cute and lovely. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, bring my back parts. I went ahead to join my back part lining piece. I've turned all the side, the zipper side, the neckline, and both sides. Okay, and I went ahead to also sew my dart of 0.75. All right, so please go ahead and do that on yours. And the next thing we're going to do is to place it on our front part, front facing front. That is right side facing right side, and we are going to join the shoulder line first. Okay, so after joining the shoulder line, I'm going to close my zipper allowance with loose stitch, because we're going to open it up later to attach our zipper. So I'm going to ahead to do that, and the next thing we're going to do is to measure the round armhole. We're going to measure the armhole side, then we are going to use it to cut our sleeve. So I have this fabric here, and that's what I'm going to be using for my sleeve. So the total length of the fabric I have here is 26 inches, okay? And I'm going to fold it into four. As you can see, I folded it into two, and I'm going to refold it again, making the fold into four, because I'll be cutting the two sleeves together, okay? So as I was saying, I have a total length of 26 inches, but I'll be working with 23 inches because my sleeve length is 22 inches, and I'm going to use 1 inch for my casing allowance, okay? That casing for my elastic, I'll use 1 inch for that. I'm going to go ahead to measure the 23 inches in total, and I'm going to mark it into a straight line, okay? So I'm actually trying to take my time to explain every detail of what I did on this dress, okay? So I believe you pay attention very well, you will not find it difficult at all making this dress. So on the upper part, I came in by 3 inches, okay? That is to be able to have what I will use to get my mid sleeve, okay? Then I came down from that line by 3 inches, okay? Then I'm going to connect that from that 3 inches to the upper part, that is a slanted form, okay? So I'm going to measure that slanted line that I just drew, and I'm going to determine the midpoints. I'll mark the midpoints, and from the midpoint of the upper part, I'll measure 0.5 inches, and the other side of the midpoint, I'll measure 0.5 inches. Please, if you are used to drafting a big sleeve, please you don't need to bother yourself about what I'm doing, because I'm actually trying to draft a basic sleeve here. So I'm explaining this because of beginners who may still be struggling to cut a basic sleeve. So what I'm actually doing here is trying to draft a basic sleeve. So I'll go ahead and connect. So the upper part of bicep, I want it to be a bit fitted. I don't want it to be too loose, okay? I don't want to be too loose, okay? So I want to measure the armhole line to see if it's actually rhyme with what I have in the other side, the half length, and I'm okay with it. So I was saying my upper part of my biceps will be a bit close to being fitted. It's not going to be very fit like normal fitted, but I don't want it to be too bogus or loose that side, okay? That is why I'm coming in by 1 inch from the main line, okay? And I'll connect it with my chalk. Then next I'm going to cut it out. So I was done cutting my sleeve, and this is what it looked like. I'll get to notch the upper parts, okay? Then I'll open it up, I'll bring in one and show us how we're going to join. So first thing I'm going to do is to hem 0 inches. I'm going to sew 0.5, and after that, I'll refold about 0.15 so as to have my casing for our elastic, okay? The casing for elastic. So that's what I'm trying to explain here. Go ahead and fold in 0.5 inches and sew it down. After that, you refold 0.75 to make a casing for your allowance, for your elastic, my dear. So that is what I was done, and I'm showing you the 0.5 inches I do. So the next thing I'm going to do is to fold 0.75. So after doing this, I'll do that on my second sleeve, and I'll go and attach it to my half length. So I'm going to bring my elastic, and with my safety pin, I'm going to pass in through the casing that I've made. So I've attached it to my half length, And I have skirt part here. So I've also tried to cut out a strip that I'm going to turn the slit area of our skirt, right? So I'm going to turn the slit. So I have this strip here. So it's 2.5 inches, and I went to divide it into two and slit in through the point. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be placing on the area. So I'll go ahead and sew it. So I finished sewing it. As you can see, our slit is looking very fine. So I'm going to notch that point where we have the slit on the waist side, and I'll place it on the left side of our bust. Okay, I'm going to align into the left side of our bust. Okay, so you see I'm going to attach my sleeve as well. I'll pass my elastic through the casing I made and join that skirt part to the half length. I will also sew my zipper. Then after sewing my zipper, I will hem the skirt part. Then once I was done doing that, I'll give it a good press, and I'm going to join my side, front side with my back side. Okay, so if you have watched to this point and you have not subscribed to my channel, please hurry up now and subscribe to my channel. Also give us a thumbs up. You can comment, like, okay, so that whenever I upload content you'll be notified. Okay, so just as I said, I have notched that part and I'm placing it on the half length so that when I join it, that slit will align to the left hand side of the breast. Okay, so I'll go ahead and join all my sides. So I was done joining both my skirt part, my sleeve, and everything. So take a good look at the dress. You see, it's very fine. Everything about this dress is just a top notch for me. Like, I love everything about this dress, and I know you love it as well. So I really appreciate your support. The dress makes sense a lot, so please make it for yourself. I know you will love it. Thank you so much. See you next time I upload. Bye. Oh